Now, we know that crime gangs have taken over Australia's tobacco market, but it's now so bad that industry heavyweights believe legal cigarette companies, Philip Morris, British American Tobacco, etc., could pull out of Australia entirely. That would mean the entire cigarette market, and nearly 1 in 10 people still smoke in this country, would be in the hands of organised crime. They're already profiting from a 64% market share, according to recent estimates. It could be as much as 80% next year, and the Sunday Herald Sun has been told that if that figure climbs, big tobacco companies would be forced to cease operations in Australia in about 3 years. It simply wouldn't be commercially viable to keep doing business here. The Australian Association of Convenience Stores Chief Executive Theo Fukari warned that if this were to happen, underage access would explode. Illegal cigarette and vape sellers are, of course, already operating so openly without consequence. This was another story in the Herald Sun this weekend, that residents in Hampton in Melbourne received a bright red leaflet in their letterboxes for a shop called Convenience and Giftware, advertising cigarettes and vapes. When the Herald Sun visited the store, black market cigarettes and vapes were openly being sold from behind the counter. It's extraordinary to think that you could potentially, Jamie, have, big tobacco, not so big anymore, just say, we're not going to operate in Australia anymore. The entire market can just be run by Middle Eastern crime gangs. Like, it's hard to...
It's crazy. That's so racist.
Oh, I know.
It can be run by any kind of crime gang, no matter where they're from. We don't discriminate.
Except that they're all from Iran, unfortunately. But how do we get here?
I know, it is absolutely crazy, and the consequences will be so dire if that happens. Think about how they won't care if they're selling to children. There'll be none of the advertising on the cigarette packets that we've seen. That'll all be gone. And I think when you look at how many tobacco shops are popping up, there's a crazy statistic where roughly for every 1 McDonald's, there's 60 tobacco shops that are out there. It's wild, and this is why James Griffin, who's the Manly MP, has been advocating very heavily to try and put some laws around this so that we can stop seeing them pop up on every corner. And the way that they're all designed as well, and I know with my own children, there's 2 within a couple of 100 metres of each other in Crow's Nest, and my kids are all like, lollies, and go running in because they have all the American lollies in the front, so it looks really enticing and kids want to go in there. But this is just insanity, and the government really needs to step in and do something, because let's also not forget about the billions of dollars worth of excise that will also be lost if everything goes into the black market. But it's crazy that we're even having this discussion, that in 3 years it could all be black market cigarettes.
Well, the excise, because it leave a huge black hole for the government. They, at the peak of tobacco excise taking, they were doing nearly 16 billion. Now it's somewhere around 7 billion, because so much of the market has gone to the illegal stuff. So if you rip $7 billion out of the federal budget and the federal government's just sitting there, I mean, it has big implications.
Well, we've had this debate before. I did speak to a pollster last night, interestingly, who's been doing some work with big tobacco, and he said that that what they're getting back from people and research is smokers, that is if they did cut the excise, they would go back to buying the products legally. It's common sense. But what I am astonished by is, how do we get to a position where we are basically saying big tobacco good? I mean, you've got to be pretty evil to make the big tobacco guys look good, and that's who we want as an alternative. I don't really accept that any of them, including the legal providers, as in big tobacco, are doing this out of the goodness of their heart, that they're putting any advertising messages on, that they wouldn't be selling to young people if they could get away with it.
But they don't.
What I think is missing,
well, that's true, yes.
That is the one big point of difference between the Middle Eastern organisation.
To be fair, they do have other ways of killing people. So
exactly. So yes, they are a mild improvement on what we are seeing in the illegal market, but I still, in principle, do support the idea of imposing a tax. It's clearly not working. I think the problem is in enforcement, because there haven't been enough people whose job it is to actually enforce this. They're coming in February, like for the first time in Victoria, people whose job it is to actually enforce it, but still only, a handful of them compared to what is now like hundreds of illegal tobacco shops. So they're not going to be able to control it.